Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, this is going to be the second part of our end of June video. And as a second parter, this is also going to be the beginning of our July month as well. Now, if you haven't watched the first video, this video would not have made sense. So we highly recommend that you go watch that video. And we're going to leave a link to that video in the description so you can watch it before you continue with this one. So we're going to be talking about all the things that we did accomplish and the things that we're going to be achieving in the following month. And without further ado, let's get the list started.
So first and foremost, we wanted to reach 250 subscribers by the end of June. However, we was wishful thinking, but we did reach 50k views. And to be frank with you, on Insta we hit more than 200,000 views, which is more than what we could have even expected. And it just goes to show you that some clips might go viral. And this is all thanks to you guys for supporting us. Every day, every hour I see notifications, somebody liked you or somebody started following you. And it makes us, both me and Pori, happy and to make more content for you guys. However, we understand that we haven't been so consistent in the last week or so. We've had trouble with a few things in the last few days. But our upcoming week, we got some good stuff coming for you guys. So make sure to stay tuned in.
Okay, now next on the agenda was learning and practicing another language for 30 days. Now in our case, I was going to be doing French and Parsa was going to be doing Spanish. And I'm glad to say that I actually achieved this goal and smashed it out the park. Here are a couple of screenshots of Duolingo and Drops, which are two phone applications that I've been practicing on lately. And as you can see, the streaks prove all the work that I had to put in.
So I took a different approach with Spanish. I did do Duolingo and Drops here and then. However, I found a playlist on YouTube and I went through those videos and I finished each chapter video day by day. So I learned the basic colors, weeks, and all those things to get into Spanish beginning. And I tried by speaking to as many Spanish people as I can.
And let me just say this before we move on. When I listen to my French music on my playlist from now on, I actually feel gassed that I could understand some of the things that I was saying. It makes such a difference you don't understand.
Now, one of my biggest goals this month was to run 100 kilometers. For some of you, that's nothing. For some of you, that's something you can never do. However, personally for me, to run 100 kilometers this month was my main goal, as I set a challenge just to discipline myself. So after listening to David Goggins' book on Audible, by the way, this is not sponsored, but Audible, if you want to sponsor us, hit us up. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. So after listening to that, I said, yo, I need to get my stuff together. So I said, I'm gonna run it. Not only I ran 100, but I ran 101, just to prove that I can do more. If you want to check out that video, links also in the description. Make sure to go watch it and see what happened.
Now for the exercise challenge, Parsa did manage to complete his task, but on the other hand, I wasn't as successful. Now, everyone knows that doing a one-arm pull-up is near to impossible, and 0.0001% of the entire world population can do that. Now, not to say that I didn't get close, but you know, I'm still a very long way away from that. Now, this one-arm pull-up will move on to our second challenge during the month of July as well for me, but I'm going to do this alongside another one, so that way I don't lose any progress that I have made.
On the topic of unsuccessfulness, Amazon FBA was another failure for us. However, I don't see it as a failure, I see it as a success, because let me tell you why. We realized that although Amazon FBA is very good, it has high potentials, but also it requires a lot of time. And genuinely, we don't have the time right now to put into Amazon, because not only I have to study at school, we have work and the YouTube stuff on the side, so there's a lot of things going on at the same time. What's good trying to go into it but not fully invest all your time? How do you expect a return on investment? So what we said is, okay, we tried this out and we realized it's not the right time. It's not for us at the moment. So we learned a lot from it and we lost a small fortune, but just enough that we say, okay, we learned our lesson, it's time to move on. We realized we can spend that time more wisely doing other stuff. For instance, improving our content quality. So for that reason, even though we didn't do Amazon FBA and we never increased our sales or anything, we realized if we stop this now, it's better because we can focus on other things. And maybe we'll come back to it in the future, but we learned a big chunk of lesson from this month because of it.
And now to close this month off, let's talk about the 3 books that we said that we we're going to read.
So the first book I read was The $100 Million by Alex Hormozi. And I know I say this every time, but honestly, one of the best books I've read. And I have to read it again because there was so much game in that game. I didn't manage to take it all in one go. The second book I read was Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. Again, I just said this, but honestly, one of the best books I've read. Definitely, just like Alex Hormozi's book, I have to go through this one again because there was so much game. And thirdly, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is a very historic book that teaches you everything about war and how to strategize. Very good book, highly recommend it, as everyone else also says. But to be honest with you, by reading this book once, you won't understand what's happening really, unless you have have a backlog of a story knowing what they're talking about. So what I recommend is you read it twice. It's a very short book and you can easily go through it in a week. It talks about how if you're going to war unprepared, you've already lost the battle. A person that goes to war, not only he needs to know himself and needs to know the opponent to be able to even stand a chance. If you don't know either of those things, you've already lost the battle. Highly recommend the book. 3 amazing books for this month. So hopefully next month's books will be just as good as these, if not even better.
Now let's talk about the 3 books that I was reading. First off, I started with Ego is the Enemy. Now let me tell you this is now my favorite book that I've read so far. And you don't hear me say that like Pastor does. This book is amazing. I'm actually going to do a solo video on this book because that's how much I enjoyed it. Now let's move on to the second book that I read, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now this book has a lot of uses and I see a lot of people hating on it. They say that, oh, it doesn't work as much anymore, or, you know, the game that it's been taught for you guys, it's not as applicable nowadays. But I'm here to absolutely disagree with everyone else. I think that this book has all of its uses. It's taught me a lot. And from now on, when I'm speaking to friends or random people, whether I see on a day-to-day, it's helped me realize how to actually speak with them. And to be honest with you, I've managed to get a lot of more things from them now by persuading them. Now I've read this book, so I'm telling you, this book is 100% guaranteed to work. And third, but definitely not least, I read The Art of Seduction. Now, people always talk about Robert Greene being one of the GOAT at writing these self-improvement books. And honestly, I would have to agree, but this book was definitely by far my least favorite that I read this month. Now, that's not to say that this book wasn't good. Don't get me wrong, this book was amazing. However, it just wasn't my cup of tea. It didn't quite intrigue me as much as the other books that I read. And you know, it could be like very intriguing or helpful for a lot of you, but I just didn't enjoy reading it as much as probably the rest of you would.
So just Poirier mentioned how he didn't like to read The Art of Seduction. I've previously read that book. I personally really enjoyed it. It was one of my favorites. You guys already know, I love Robert Greene and all of his books. But these two, The 48 Laws of Power and The Art of Seduction, my 2 favorite of his books. And I only say this because I've only read those 2. But I wish to read the rest of them soon. On the other hand, I was going to also say this. Arguably, one of the best books is Crime and Punishment. However, I tried getting into that. It's quite a big book, but I just didn't understand it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The book was too highly sophisticated for my knowledge at this moment of time. I tried understanding the literature behind it, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. There were too many complex words, and the way it was written, it was much more sophisticated than I had imagined. But it's not to say that it's not a good book. It's just I personally didn't manage to understand the book, so I didn't enjoy it. And I've learned this lesson already. It's not good to waste the rest of your time trying to say, okay, I've already invested 2 hours, 3 hours into this book, let me just finish it. It's better to just cut it off then and move on to the next book. If I had stuck to that book, 1, I would have hated myself for reading the rest of it. But 2, not would have been able to read any other books. So what I did was cut off that and move on to the next book. And that's how I managed to read the 3 books, even though I tried one and I didn't like it and moved on to the next one. So again, if you start to read a book, give it a few some time. If you don't like it, then come back to it. If not, then just move on to the next book. And that's what I did with Crime and Punishment. Even though, as many people have said, such as Jordan Peterson, that is one of the best books ever written. So hopefully down the line, I will come back to it and maybe I will understand what the hype around it is.
Okay, and to wrap this all up, we're going to talk about the next 5 goals that we have for the month of July. So let's start with the easy ones. We're going to continue and read 3 more books during this month as well. We will also continue to practice our language as well, French and Spanish.
Now, although we had set a goal to reach 250 subscribers by the end of June, now this is the goal for July. Currently, we are 160 subscribers, so we need around 90 more in 30 days, which roughly equates to 3 a day. We did smash our goal by reaching 50k in the month of June. Now for this month, we tend to reach 75,000 views on YouTube, but we need all your support, guys. So any comments, likes, subscribes, shares, we highly appreciate it. Not only it motivates us to do more, but it pushes our algorithm out so more of you guys can see our stuff. And I understand this is only our beginning, but this is where we're starting from, and we tend to go up only from here. However, during the last week, we've had a few hiccups in the road due to some problems with video production, and it will be ongoing till the next week. But soon I will tell you guys what that issue is. However, you guys know us. We adapt to any problem that comes our way, and we try to figure out no matter what it is. Just like continuing this YouTube channel, even though me and Puri are on the other sides of Earth, 2 complete different continents. But that's not to mention, for this month, I'll be learning to do the front lever. This won't be able to be easily tracked like running, But I promise you guys, I'll be going out every day, if not as much as I can, to practice and get the front lever down. And I'll be showing you videos on how to do it also. So we're recording the journey along the way. Now for Pori's case, doing a 1-arm pull-up is impossible in 30 days. So he will be continuing that over the month of July. And we knew this coming into it, but this is what we had thought. Yes, it's not possible to get it overnight, but if you practice every day, double the hours of what other people are spending, triple the hours, you will get there in half the time, a third of the time.
Ultimately, to close off this video, I'm going to give you guys a little hint of exactly what the issues have been and the reason why they have been like that. We're going to be training together for this following month as much as we can. Now, that's a little hint to what is going to be going on for this month, and we'll record a lot of the videos that we're going to be doing together when we're working out, so you guys can keep along with us and also train to get physically stronger. So make sure that you guys are subscribed with notifications turned on, so you're tuned in on exactly what's happening this month. Something special is going to be happening, and we don't want you guys to miss out on it. And once again, to wrap up this video completely, make sure to like and share all your thoughts on this video and share it with all your friends as well, so that the algorithm pushes it out.